So, last week we went ahead and broke down all the assault rifles here in Modern Warfare and ranked them from worst to best, and also showcased each of their best class setups. And seeing as the SMGs are arguably the second most popular weapon class, I figured today we would break down the SMGs, rank them from worst to best, and once again showcase the best attachment setups you can use in order to really bring out the best in each of the 6 weapons we have available as of right now. But before we jump into that, if you guys are new here, hey, hi, how you doing? Each and every day we are always covering the latest Call of Duty news and intel, so if you do want to stay up to date with that stuff, feel free to subscribe with your notifications turned on. And of course, if you enjoy the video, let me know by dropping a like rating on it, as it would be much appreciated. And now let's rank every SMG here in Modern Warfare. Now, one thing I do have to say about the SMG category as a whole is that the difference between each weapon is, for the most part, very, very minute. You know, compared to the assault rifles, there are some very big differences that make the M4 better than, say, the FAL or the FAMAS, etc, etc, at least in my own opinion. But mostly all of the SMGs in this game are really similar in terms of effectiveness, which definitely made this list a little harder to create, seeing as I have to put these guns in a particular order. But that said, one SMG in specific is easily the worst, so starting off the list in the 6th spot, we have the Uzi. This is a weapon that honestly I want to like, but quite frankly, it just cannot compete with the other submachine guns in the category, and if that's the case, then it definitely is not that effective against other assault rifles or other more powerful weapons in the game. In general, the Uzi just feels weaker, slower, and more awkward to use than the other weapons we'll be breaking down here momentarily. However, the Uzi is far from being just outright bad. I found it to be the most effective when I had my sights up first in a gunfight, as the overall mobility is not anything too crazy, so it does take a little more of a cautious approach to find success with, comparatively speaking, but all around it certainly is not my least favorite weapon in the game. Now, on my Uzi, my first attachment is going to be the monolithic suppressor, as it ends up increasing the damage range on top of adding that basic sound suppression. And like I mentioned, I personally feel like the Uzi has a very low range in general, so upping that was a pretty big priority for me when making this setup. And as you'll see by the end of this setup, this suppressor makes the weapon look absolutely ridiculous, and honestly, I love it. Anyways, following that up, I then use the 16.5-inch factory carbine barrel, as it increases the damage range, the bullet velocity, and the recoil control, so 3 pretty important pros there. Then I'm using the FSS close quarters stock to somewhat counter the cons of the previous attachments. After that, I've got the operator foregrip to help with that recoil control a little more in the medium range gunfight specifically. And then lastly, per usual, I know it's like a whole meme on the channel now, we are also using the stippled grip tape for its mobility boosts. So with all of those attachments on the Uzi, we end up with a weapon that 1, looks absolutely hilarious if you ask me, and 2, has an increased accuracy, range, and control, and a decreased mobility. So ultimately the weapon still feels a little slower, but with that more cautious approach while using it, its effectiveness is definitely better in the long run. But moving on, now we get into the trickier spots on the list, because honestly I think between here and the second best SMG, things could be very fluid. And while I think there is a definitive best SMG, numbers 5, 4, 3, and 2 are all very closely matched. Anyways, the P90 is ultimately going to end up in the 5 spot for me, but truthfully, I feel like that makes it sound so much worse than it actually is, because the P90 is really surprisingly effective with the right setup on it. So here, my first attachment is going to be the monolithic suppressor once again for that increase to the damage range. Honestly, I feel like you can never go wrong with increasing the range on an SMG when applicable, so that's that. I then use the Forged Hack Retribution barrel, which increases the damage range, bullet velocity, and recoil control yet again. So overall, the ease of use increases with this barrel, so it's definitely my go-to in this case. Then I prefer to use the GI Mini Reflex as an optic, as the iron sights can be a little awkward in medium range engagements, and obviously anything further than that as well. So the GI Mini Reflex just helps me stay on target a little bit better. But of course, if you are one who likes the iron sights, you can definitely swap this for something like, say, sleight of hand. Next up, I use the Fly Strap stock, which increases both the sprint to fire speed and the strafe or aim walking movement speed, so 2 solid boosts to the mobility there. And then again, I use the stippled grip tape for its mobility increases as well. So when it's all said and done, we see increases to the accuracy and range, and only a very minor decrease to the mobility and the control. So you end up with a P90 that is very accurate with a decent damage output in those close and medium range fights. And I'll be honest, you can certainly get some kills at some pretty surprising distances with this setup, so I really would highly recommend it. I do think this is one of the more underrated weapons in the game as well. However, a weapon that I find to be even more underrated is the Bizon, which I would say is probably my favorite SMG at the moment. It's got a large magazine by default, so you can spray and pray without worry. It's pretty easy to control, and you also feel very agile and lightweight while using it too. Here I'm using the muzzle brake to start things off, as this helps with recoil stabilization. Then I'm rocking the 8.7-inch aluminum barrel, which increases the aim down sight speed, the 5mW laser for its increase to the sprint to fire speed, and its additional hip fire accuracy, as I do find myself firing from the hip pretty often with this gun, so that is a big help there. I also have the Corvus skeleton stock equipped, which increases the overall movement speed, the aim walking movement speed, and the aim down sight speed. And last, but most certainly not least, the grip tape that is stippled. I don't know why I said it like that, I should have just said it normally. Anyways, with this setup, you can see an increase to the accuracy and the mobility with a small decrease to the range and control. But I found this gun to be especially good when you are just flat out running around like crazy and playing extremely aggressive, as it really excels the most in those close quarters engagements. Now, coming in at the 3 spot, we have the MP7, which of course has always been a fan favorite weapon in each of the games that it's been in, and there's really no exception this year either. The MP7 might have the most surprising range out of all the SMGs, to be quite frank, as this thing can get kills at distances I would never expect from an SMG, at least without a lot of effort going into said kill. But lo and behold, this thing is very effective. My first attachment here is going to be the FSS Recon Barrel for its increases to the damage range, bullet velocity, and recoil control. Then I've got the 5mW laser for the same reasons as before, the FSS Close Quarters Stock for its increase to the ADS speed, the stippled grip tape once again, and also Sleight of Hand, which apparently increases the fire rate, at least according to the stat sheet. However, I'm pretty sure that's just a bug, at least I'd hope it'd be, because the perks aren't supposed to change things like that. But the stat sheet does say that the weapon's accuracy, range, mobility, and control all increase, with, I guess, an asterisk by the fire rate. We actually don't have any decreases here, so all around a very efficient and effective setup at the end of the day. Continuing on, we have the AUG as the second best SMG, which I would have to say feels the least like an SMG, especially since you can convert the ammo type. But lo and behold, it is in the SMG category, and therefore it finds its home here on the list. Now, here my first attachment is going to be the 407mm barrel for the increases it provides in all the areas the previous few barrels have as well, that being the range, bullet velocity, and recoil control. Then we've got the Forged Tac CQB Comb stock as it increases the ADS speed, followed by the Ranger foregrip for its increases to the recoil control and aiming stability, and the stippled grip tape yet again. Then to close out this setup, I do actually end up using the 5.56 NATO 30-round mags, which, yes, definitely take away from the weapon's base SMG properties, but they seriously make the weapon perform in a far more effective way all around. As you can see, the accuracy, the damage, the range, the mobility, and the control all increase, and then the fire rate ends up decreasing. So primarily positives coming out of the stat sheet, and this weapon, hopefully as the gameplay depicts, can excel in a variety of engagements. Then, of course, by process of elimination, that only leaves one SMG left, and it is easily, without a doubt, the best SMG in the game right now, that of course being the MP5. This is the #1 choice amongst pros and quite a bit of the community as well, at least judging from my kill feed in any given match. And with good reason. The right setup on this thing turns it into an all-out beast. My setup here consists of the FSS Light Barrel as it increases the ADS speed, the 5mW laser once again, the FSS Close Quarters stock for the same reasons as before, the stippled grip tape one last time, and also the 10mm 30-round mags, which increase the damage and the range in some very noticeable ways. So all around we have an MP5 that sees increases in the accuracy, damage, and the mobility, and decreases in the fire rate and control. Meaning this weapon can seriously shred in those close to medium range fights, and its ADS speed and mobility in general is extremely good. So for rush heavy players, this would definitely be my go-to setup. So with all of that being said, those are where all the SMGs stand in my opinion, alongside the best setups for each as well, and that is going to wrap things up for today. If you guys enjoyed the video or if you found it helpful, let me know by dropping a like rating on it, as it would be much appreciated. And of course, if you are new here and you want to stay up to date with everything going on in the world of Call of Duty, including all the latest news and intel, updates and leaks, and pretty much everything else in between, feel free to subscribe with your notifications turned on. That way you'll always know when I post a new video. In case you missed it, all month long my G Fuel discount code WhosImmortal will get you 30% off your entire order. So now is definitely the best time to stock up on all your favorites, or simply try G Fuel for the first time. Also, if you guys do want to join my Discord server, that and all my other social links like Twitter, Instagram, and all that good stuff can be found down in the description below. Once again, thanks so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.